Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for some unknown number of days into the new Faction Wars hard mode, and today we have live the Undead Horde as well as the Dwarfs, and now that I'm looking at this, I've realized that I have forgotten to do my daily tag team arena battles, so we'll try to get through this real quick here. That being said, I would be very curious to hear from everybody down below in the comments how you're liking the Faction Wars hard mode so far. It's going to be definitely a bit of a tough one for a lot of players today. I think I was looking through some of the requirements that we'll actually have for these factions, and one of the requirements is to place freezes inside the Dwarf faction. Now, I don't have a whole lot of the legendaries from the Dwarves, so that definitely does, you know, lower the amount of champions that I can pick from as potential candidates for that. But literally the only champion I have on my account right now from the Dwarf faction that can place freezes according to the champion filter is going to be Newt. And Newt places it on as A1, and it's only if their turn meter is fully decreased or if it can't be decreased further. So it's definitely very conditional. I don't want to just, you know, sit here and look at these battles going on. So I suppose we could honestly just back out of the battles too. It's 5, you know, tag team arena wins. It's not the biggest deal in the world. I have plenty of, you know, the tokens for the live arena or whatnot, but it is what it is. We're just going to get through this here. So I would also be very curious to hear who has been kind of the best champion so far that you've found for use inside Faction Wars, who's really just carried your teams the most, those sorts of good things. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and just back out of some fights here. I think that should still give us our dailies, right? So we'll go ahead and load in. It would be perfectly okay to drop down in the rankings anyways, because there's a tag team arena tournament that's going on. So the more we're able to farm up the easier teams, the better that'll be for my mental health. Tag team arena is definitely a little bit annoying to say the least, because it's really just, hey, how good is your team, and hey, do you have 3 of those teams to use, right? Like, it's, you know, there's a lot of strategy and whatnot that goes into it. Certainly not denying that, but it is what it is. We're 2 minutes into this journey so far, so you know, if you're sticking around for this, thank you. I say this all the time as well, at least I have been recently. The channel memberships are live, so make sure to go ahead and join that if that's something you're interested in. And additionally, there is a Discord link down in the description, so make sure to go ahead and join that as well. So here we are. We have Stage 4, beat stage, 5 champions, no losses, place 10 plus freeze debuffs. And as you can see, like I was saying, literally only Newt is capable of doing this. So I think what we're going to do here is we're actually going to do some rebuilding. We're going to move Mr. Rockbreaker to my collection. We're going to go to Fitting Room, and then we're going to take a look at, so Frost Set will give us a 20% chance, and I have barely any gear from that. Frostbite will give us a 15% chance, and then a 10% chance. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and see if we can get some of this put on our Monsieur Rockbreaker here, and we'll need at least 4 pieces of it. So let's see if we can get that done. I also don't want to lose too much like speed or anything like that, which it looks like unfortunately we're probably going to have to though. And then it looks like we'll also be losing a little bit of, like, you know, accuracy and all those sorts of things. We do have a pretty decent chest plate here. Again, it's pulling off a speed set though, so it's like very questionable if that's something we want to do. We'll go ahead and do this. We do lose the bonus from the perception, but I think 289 accuracy should still be okay for the time being. 261 on the speed should be okay. We do have the HP chest plate here. I don't really want him to drop down that much in speed though, so I think we'll just have him provoke with the 10% chance to place the freezes. We only have to place 10, so hopefully this is something that we're able to do fairly easily. And then we do of course have Newt's A1 as well, so we'll see what he's able to do. So he has, each hit has a 80% chance. I thought it was 100. If the target's turn meter is not decreased, each hit has an 80% chance of placing the freeze. We don't get the freeze there, unfortunately, so we're going to get the AoE provoke. At least we can do that. We're going to get the turn meter reduction here, which is resisted, of course, because why wouldn't it be? We're going to try and get the A1 here. We get the stun. That's perfect. Trunda may be bringing in too much damage for this. Again, you know, kind of something that we're seeing more and more. Let's go ahead and get that turn meter reduction here as well. We don't get it. So these freezes are definitely going to be tough to try and place. Like having, I don't know, man. It's crazy because Plarium said that they looked through this by hand essentially and said that we would have options for all this. But I mean, realistically, I'm a pretty late game player and I literally just have Newt that's capable of doing this. right? Like, it's not going to be very feasible for most players. Like, if we're just being real here, right? Like, if you didn't get Newt, they're basically just saying, screw you, sucks to be you. Like, this content is definitely targeted towards the endgame players that have been playing for a long time, or obviously players that spend a little bit of cheddar. So this is nice though, because with the provokes, we can easily come in and get the attacks on Newt right after the provoked champion takes their turn, which will then allow us to get that freeze. So we have 2 freezes placed so far. Again, Trunda's a little bit problematic though, because she's just dishing out so much damage. We don't really have anybody here that we can place it on, so I think we'll just go ahead and do some turn meter reduction here. And we really just need to wait for somebody to attack Rockbreaker so we can go ahead and do the counterattack. There we go, the Kaja. And then we can... Let's just go ahead and steal turn meter here too. Let's go ahead and place it here. Yeah, we weren't able to do that. We should have hit the... Yannica instead. The Kaja had too much turn meter. That's crazy. And then obviously Rockbreaker only has a 10% chance to freeze on each hit, so... Somebody needs to take a turn. There we go. Neldor takes a turn. We should be able to get the freeze on him now. There it is. Boom. We're at 3 freezes placed. We'll go ahead and hit the provoke as well. Make sure that they're just whacking into us. We'll hit the Neldor, hoping for a weak hit. Don't get it, unfortunately. Hit the Yannica. AoE. Can't freeze anybody here. So we'll just smack in, reduce their turn meter a little bit, I guess. The Yannica should go right away. No freeze coming in, unfortunately. We should be able to reduce her turn meter down to the point, but like she has such low health that I don't think we're going to be able to get it. Here we go, though. Then if the Newt can... Yeah, he doesn't place the freeze before he kills her, though, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and boost up here. We should also have Rockbreaker's provoke, but I'll just put a counter attack out here on our Newt. We don't have the provoke yet, actually. That could be problematic if they get a cleanse off, but hopefully they won't be able to. The Operdin is going to be super annoying as well. Let's try to stun him. We don't land the stun, unfortunately. With the Senna's turn meter boost, though, I think she's going to be able to help us clap cheeks here. There we go. Now we have the provoke. Of course, Operdin resists it. That's insane. Let's try for the stun again. There we go. We get it this time. We actually just clap him, so that's perfect. Not really. We'll try to make sure Ursala stays alive so that she can revive, and then we can maybe try to farm some more stuns here. Prime freeze candidate right here if Newt wants to get a turn, which he does. That's perfect. We're at 4. Putting Newt inside a provoke set and then opening with his ability that places the counterattack, so his A2, that could be a pretty solid strategy. I think the Trunda's just gonna have to go, though, to be honest, because she's doing way too much damage to allow us to do this. Let's try and hit in here. Even the Newt is hitting pretty crazy hard. Like, we're not really... We'll see, though. I hope Ursala gets the revive here. She should. We'll tap him down so that she can revive if needed. There we go. There we go. We should get another freeze here. So we're at 5 of them placed now. Mr. Rockbreaker hasn't hit a single freeze proc on anybody, by the way, which is pretty crazy. There we go. AoE revive. That's perfect. Now let's go ahead and try to stun the Opardin again. He has increased defense and strengthen, so this is making everybody a little bit tankier too, which is awesome. Go ahead and do that. Let's try to hit the freeze here. We get it. That's 6 placed. By golly, I think we might do it. Newt's hanging out with the enemy. Just fraternizing with the enemy there, it looks like. Very nice. Get that decrease accuracy placed. Let's go ahead and whack the Lysandra because she's under freeze, so I think she has the best chance of surviving. Now we can't place the freeze here on anyone, unfortunately. Oh, there we go. We got it. He resisted the turn meter decrease, so we got the freeze off of that instead. That's perfect. We're now at 7 placed. I won't lie. Credit where credit is due. Plarium definitely absolutely cooked with the fact that you can track these challenges while you're in the run. And I'll move myself maybe like here. just so that you're able to see when I pause it as well. So there you go. Let's see if we can get it here. Well, he's already frozen. I don't even know why I tried that. We won't question it. We won't question it. Let's go ahead and do that. Now we have Ursala, who attacked, and she gets frozen. There we go. So we're at 8 freezes placed. Let's steal turn meter from O'Pardon, and then Newt is going next, so we should be able to get the freeze here as well. There it is. We're at 9. Hell yes. Let's make sure the Lysandra can't do any funny business here. We'll get the continuous heals popped so we can cycle turns a little bit more. We won't get the provoke just because I think we'll be through to the next wave right away. Let's get this. Somebody just took their turn. It was this fine fella, and there we go. We have our 10 freeze debuffs placed. So we can essentially just go ahead and clam slam these guys into the gutter. So let's go ahead and do that. A little bit less impressive damage than I was expecting, to be honest, but there we go. We should be on to wave 3. And yeah, we literally just have to make sure we survive this. So let's do that. First time seeing... oh, I forgot her name. First time seeing her inside Faction Wars, though, I think. So that's pretty cool. This champion right here. Go ahead and hit the AoE with the Trunda. Just taps everybody down. Weak hit here as well, but she also placed the stun, which is pretty crazy. We'll get the HP smack here. Newt is such a good champion, man. If you don't have Newt, it's going to be a lot tougher to do this. You're going to have to depend on, like, Rock Breaker proccing, which is just obscene to me, but whatever. Okay, so we have stage 5. We have to reduce 6+ enemies' HP by 50% with 1 skill. Essentially, in English, that means, hey, go do big damage to the champions. So we can definitely do that, and I think we should be good just to run with the same team, essentially. We're going to go ahead and whack some people with Trunda here. Let's do this. AoE weaken. We'll make sure they take some extra damage. I honestly don't see them surviving the wave, so I don't think we need to worry about placing any at control. Let's see, though. We got 3 of them done already, so that's good. It is very loud outside, and I can't tell if it's thunder or somebody's vehicle, but I think it's somebody's vehicle. Let's just go ahead and A1 here. Get some TM reduction. Now, I don't know if it'll count this, but let's try it. Yeah, still just 3 out of 6. She didn't actually get that much surplus damage. I guess it's because I didn't attack somebody that had, like, big amounts of HP, so that's a bit of a shame. Go ahead and whack everybody down, though. On the next wave, we should get it pretty easily. Boom. Boom. And just Necmo surviving. But we'll go ahead and change that. So now we're on to wave 2. Similar champions here. Boost everybody up. Get the AoE weaken. We will place CC here. And then we'll try to steal buffs here. There it is. And then she doesn't have it back yet, unfortunately. Let's try this. There it is. We got 4 out of 6. Perfect. The one kind of weakness with Trunda is just the length of her cooldowns are, like, pretty long, but I also get why they do it, because she'd be ridiculously OP if it wasn't like that, so it is what it is, I suppose. And we should have Trunda back right away. There she is. Boom! Just absolutely clapped everybody. There we go. So now we just have to make sure we beat this with no losses. Should be pretty easy, though. That being said, though, I don't think Rockbreaker's back to his CC ability yet. No, not quite. So this might get a little ropey, but I think we just have enough damage with Trunda to kind of brute force through all this. So let's do that. Yeah, we're cooking. We're cooking. Loriaka here places like a continuous heal and some other BS, I think. So don't want her getting a turn. That will leave us with just the Ugo left. She can revive, but she can't now because she's stunned, so that's perfect. We do have the Geomancer to remove buffs as well if needed, so I mean, it's not even that big of a deal. And we should have Trunda's Slam back here right away too, which will be perfect. Even just Trunda's A1 is going to be enough to finish the job, though. So there we go. Stage 5 is down 3 stars. Now we are on to stage 6, which is to manipulate turn meters 40 plus times. So this means I need to plug in my headset apparently because it's talking at me that it's low. Give me 1 second here. There we go. So manipulating turn meters is going to mean one of two things. You can either fill your own turn meter, obviously, which would be somebody who has a fill turn meter effect. So we have lots of options, right? You have Molly is probably going to be the best for this. Senna is a huge one. Geomancer. There's a lot of options for that. And then you can also bring in the negative version, which is the decreased turn meter, which there's still a lot of options for that as well. So this same team should be good enough to just clap us through to the next wave. I am curious. So with the Senna, she's going to increase, and we're already at 15. Yeah, so let's go ahead and manipulate the turn meter here, though. That'll get us to 29 already, because every time somebody takes a turn and these continuous heals pop, she boosts their turn meter, right? So she's just going to absolutely slam this out. Like, we're already done in wave 1. Senna is going to be an absolute giga chad for this. So if you have Senna, GG, you're easily beating this stage. If you don't have Senna, it's going to be a little bit tougher, but you do still have Geomancer, you do still have Newt, you do still have Molly, you still have a lot of options that can do this. So definitely not quite as cooked as the last stage without Newt, right? Like the freeze stage without Newt. That would be quite tough, in all honesty. It's also annoying how tanky they are here. I obviously don't really have any sort of like decreased defense or anything like that on the enemy team, which doesn't help. We'll go ahead and place the weaken out there. Let's do this. So Rockbreaker's back around to his CC now. We don't really need to worry about if we have cooldowns or not. So I'm going to go ahead, just slam into this with the Trunda here. And then it's literally just... oh, I forgot her name. Eric's left, so we'll go ahead and keep hitting her. Now, what's annoying about her is she heals by a certain amount whenever she's hit with a crit hit, so she's, like, insanely tanky. Do this. And, yeah, like, we're already done the turn meter side of this stage, so that's pretty crazy. We'll get some big damage into Mushaled there. We'll provoke everybody. We will turn meter reduce the Duchess. We will A2 with the Trunda. And just start taking people out. A1 with the Geo, start taking more people out. A2 with the Newt. Trunda is so good too, because she's bringing big damage, obviously, but also CC and burns. Like, it's hard to overstate how good that is. Like, she has a stun on the A1 that you keep seeing. She has a stun on the A2, or on the A3, rather. And then just big nukes on the A2 and the A3. Like, she's such a good champion. There we go. On to the next wave. I think we should have the Rockbreaker CC available here as well, which is perfect. AoE decrease attack and weaken. Rockbreaker coming in with the provoke. We'll get a turn meter steal here. And we'll go ahead and slam into you. Take out some people. Let's do this. That should be Seeker down and Blind Seer as well, which is perfect. We'll hit him. The Candraphon is provoked. Rockbreaker should be strong enough to survive a smack from him. Yeah, no question. No question. So now we just need to wait for the Candraphon to get clapped. And there we go. Giga Trunda does the job. So another 3-star clear there. We're now up to stage 6. Next we'll be fighting stage 7, which will be the boss actually, which is going to be pretty cool to see how that goes. And yeah, we're doing good on the Dwarves so far. Got some lesser oils there, which is perfect. Let's go ahead and move over to the Undeads, who are going to be kind of tough as well, it looks like. So we need to place provokes here. There's a few options that you have. So we have debuffs will filter by provokes. You obviously have Seekers going to be big for this. You do have UDK, who has the chance to provoke on the A1. You have Euros the Soul Cage, actually, who has the chance to provoke as well, but it's very situational. So basically, he has a... Sorry, yes, the chance of placing a stun on enemies under 3 or more poison debuffs. I was looking at him earlier. Here we go. So he has the chance of placing a provoke. So he has a 75% chance of placing a provoke whenever somebody under a strengthen is hit. So he can be very strong for that if you have strengthens out there. You have Husk, who has the chance to provoke on his A1 with a 45% chance, so that's not bad. And then You do also have the Vogoth who can place it as well, so he's got a 65% chance of a provoke, which is very strong. So I think we'll actually bring in perhaps Vogoth instead of our Seeker. I don't know if that particular Vogoth is built, though. He is not. Is this Vogoth built? Not incredibly well. Let's just go ahead and see if we can throw some gear on this Vogoth. So we'll go to Fitting Room. We'll go to Priority Stats, HP, Accuracy, and then Speed at a medium. Hide Set Filters. There we go. Perfect. These are the pieces we need. That's perfect. Actually, quad roll of accuracy. Probably not going to stay on him, but it is what it is. That's also good. Yep. Give me this. Literally just looking for, like, you know, the best gear we can put on him. He's so slow, though. Let's see if we can find some speed boots just to make him a little bit quicker. There's some speed boots. Perfect. Get him up to, like, 180. Obviously, he's got a lot of accuracy now. 429. You know what? We could also bring a second Vogoth if we wanted to, like, just really have fun with this and place those provokes. I think, though, we'll bring a Seeker instead of our Nethril, because Nethril is good for, like, turn meter reduction and stuff like that, but we don't really need that because we're going to have Fabian in here cooking anyways. And my god, does Fabian cook. Fabian makes the CC side of this faction just an absolute joke. It's crazy. Let's turn meter steal from the Shaman. Don't get the provoke placed there. Let's see if we can get the provoke for Vogoth. There it is. Perfect. Already 4 of them placed. That's awesome. I think we can do this on auto, honestly. I don't think we need to sit here and manual this. We just need to wait for it to go through, essentially. The only kind of questionable thing is, obviously, we don't have a Reviver, so we took out our Gorgorab. But I think we should be okay, because realistically the Vogoth is placing the provokes. So if the enemies do end up getting their turns, they're usually going to hit him, I would say. Which means that he's going to heal us, right? So, and he also has, like, some Giga Chad HP and whatnot, too. So our Seeker's definitely doing decent damage, because, like I've mentioned many times, he's built for damage. He's my clan boss Seeker, so he's very, very strong on that front. Got more provokes placed there. Yeah, we're definitely going to be able to do this on auto. We have 7 provokes placed already on wave 1. Definitely a little bit easier than, you know, trying to do it on some of the other factions, certainly. That being said, if you don't have Seeker, if you don't have Vogoth, if you don't have Urost, if you don't have any of the other options, I don't know what you're doing trying to beat Faction Wars hard. But you could use Mushaled in a provoke set. Basically just any sort of an AoE champion, right? So hell, even a Fabian in a provoke set would be able to get this done for you here. And actually, I don't know what I'm talking about. We do very clearly have Gorgorab on the team. We don't need to worry about reviving somebody. I don't know why I said that. I thought I took Gorgorab out and brought the Vogoth instead, but I did not. So we're good. We're cooking. And yeah, we just need 3 more provokes, so we're probably going to get it right here. There it is, 4 provokes. We are good to go. Throw this on auto. Super easy stage, all things considered. Now, I have been doing some reflection on the faction wars, and I think right now my struggle factions are really going to be orcs, and then also Ogryn tribes. Like, if you watched even the stages 1 to 3 with the Ogryn, that was brutal, man. So I think I need to start building some champions from those factions, or focus on, like, better builds for champions from those factions. And I think one of 2 things. So War Mother, oddly enough, is somebody I'm thinking about building from the Ogryn. And then I was also thinking about building Stalk the Broken. Granted, I'd have to book both of those champions, obviously, which is kind of a downside. But War Mother, there's a challenge inside the Ogryn tribes where you have to kill 10 enemies with bomb debuffs. And she can place those bombs, right? She's one of the few champions that can. But that being said, I can also use, like, Grunch Killjoy or Balcut or those sorts of champions to do the killing with bombs as well. So I don't necessarily need to do it, get a legendary to do it. So it might be better to build Stalk, the Poisoner, former Fusion, because he can also obviously be used other areas of the game as well. So he might be a useful option. I think here we'll go ahead and just make sure that we have all our cooldowns available for the next wave. because we can pretty much just A1 down this Opardon. Now, that being said, I need to put on some lip balm here because it's very, very dry today. So, got to make sure the lips stay nice and moist, you know what I'm saying? We do definitely struggle for damage from some factions as well. Like, even Undead Hordes, I don't have crazy damage in here apart from, like, Seeker, which, you know, as we go further and further, I think there's going to come a time where Seeker is just not strong enough to really carry me through this content. So, we may have to start looking at some damage options there. Gorgorab just absolutely smacked the High Katoon, though. That's kind of funny. I could obviously build out the Mushaled a little bit better as well, because he can do some crazy damage if you need him to. So yeah, that's an option. Apart from that, so Dwarves I seem to be doing pretty good. Bannerlords, obviously, I'm set for the most part. I have Marichka and Taurus, so, you know, enough said. Yeah, no, like, I can't really think of anything else that that may need to be done in that faction. High Elves, definitely a little bit questionable as well. I do have mainly just support-focused options there, not a ton of damage, so may have to look into that. Barbarians, absolutely cooking, plenty of options there. Cythalia, I think, is that champion who's very annoying. Undead Horde's definitely a bit of a weak point. I don't have Sifi, which definitely makes me struggle a little bit more here than a lot of players will, I'm sure. Like, if you've been playing for quite some time and you have a Sifi, this is probably going to be easy content for you. I'm just trying to think as well. Shadowkin, I'm, like, perfectly good to go apart from a Reviver, so I don't really have a Reviver inside the Shadowkin faction, so, you know, that's a potential issue. And then, yeah, like, I do have Kinagashi, though, so I could build her out and then use that, but I don't think we're going to struggle there at all for damage, obviously, right? Like, I have Harima and Ninja, and that basically takes care of it. And then, obviously, Ninja has a lot of CC for the waves. Harima has a lot of CC for the waves. It's kind of just a never-ending cycle there. For Sylvan Watchers, I think we're cooking. We got Revivers and all that sort of good stuff. And there it is. Fairly easy 3-star on the stage 4 of Undead. Now, we do need to place 10 plus sleep debuffs for stage 5. Now, this one's a bit more problematic. So if you take a look at sleeps, there's not a lot of options. So you have Zelota, who's the one that we're going to be using, where he has a 55% chance in my case to place a sleep, right? And then you also have a Harvest Jack, who's very conditional with his sleep on his A3. And then lastly, you have Seducer, who has a chance of placing a sleep as well on his A1. So it's a 45% chance of placing a sleep. That being said, obviously you can also bring in, you know, some sort of an option along the lines of, hey, I'm going to put you in a days set. Coincidentally, I just went ahead and sold, like, all of my days set recently, so I don't have, like, really any of it right now. So that was pretty good decision making, certainly. Yeah, it is what it is. Let's go ahead. We're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to hide set filters. Priority stats are going to be speed, then accuracy, and then maybe a little bit of HP, a little bit of defense, and then just the tiniest ever bit of resistance there. So let's go ahead. We'll do all set pieces. We're going to look for some speed boots with some accuracy on there if we can get it. But, I mean, even if not, that's perfectly fine as well. This is perfect, actually. Let's go ahead and do this. That's a perfect piece. Literally perfect. We're not going to struggle to get this guy fast enough. Or not fast enough, but enough accuracy, I don't think. Obviously, what is kind of problematic, though, is the speed. That being said, though, I'm super happy about this because it actually gives me a place to use some of this kind of crappy gear that was just sitting around not doing anything. So that's pretty sweet. Yeah, there we go. That'll be the build. 328. We got decent speed as well. This guy's a 5-star, and look at these stats that we got on him. Very juicy, very juicy. And then obviously I have decent Faction Wars bonuses so far as well. So here we go. We're looking at like an extra 20 speed, which is pretty crazy. We're looking at 40 resistance, 64 accuracy, and 12% ignored defense. So very, very strong. This one we're probably going to do a little bit on manual just until we get the sleeps to make sure we don't have to rerun this. Now, obviously, the Fabian is going to make sure that we have debuffs out there so we can have a very good chance of placing the sleep. There we go. We got like 3 of them already. That's perfect. I don't think it's going to be an issue getting the sleeps placed, but I just want to make sure that, you know, we have a very good chance of doing it. We'll go ahead and wake everybody up, actually, because then we can replace sleeps. So a little bit of a strat there for you, because he does have a chance of placing a sleep on his A1 as well, I believe. I don't know if it's a good land rate or not. It is 15% chance. We don't land it, unfortunately. Go ahead and just keep making sure everybody's locked out, though. I don't have him, like, booked out on his cooldowns or anything like that either, so unfortunately he's going to be taking quite a while to rotate around. Like, it's still a 4-turn cooldown still, which is just absolutely insane. And we're doing quite a bit of damage, so hopefully we don't, you know, just do too much damage where they're all dead by the time we get back around to the sleep. But there it is. And then obviously Fabian just doing absolutely insane Fabian things with the control there. Steal some turn meter off the Ramen too. Sleep on the A1. There we go. That's perfect. We got 4 sleeps so far. The Ugo actually got a turn and cooled down our skills, or not cooled down our skills, sorry, placed a decreased defense. Not that big of a deal though. Of course, like I've mentioned, we have Gorgorab here to revive if needed. Steal some turn meter off the Slixus there. Take out the Ugo maybe. So close. So close. Steal some turn meter from the Ramen too. If you do have days set, that's certainly an option for this obviously as well. No sleep there, unfortunately, on the Ramen too. We'll get the cooldown reduction, though, again. Or increase, I should say. Take out the Ugo. We will have Zelata's A3 available, where he has the chance of placing the sleep, but I don't think we're really going to worry about that here for this wave. We'll more so just focus on getting his A1. Maybe another sleep proc would be perfect, which we do get. We have 5 placed already. I must say, Zelata, for a not fully booked Epic, is doing a fantastic job of this so far, like even better than some of the other champions that I brought in to try and do weird requirements like this, so I can't be too upsetty spaghetti with him. He's carrying his own weight, certainly. Yeah, we're going into this with 5 placed. We'll obviously have debuffs placed on everybody too. Just kidding, no we won't, so we'll wait. We'll cycle around because he has a better chance to place it when there's enemies under debuffs. So we want that, obviously. Steal some turn meter from the Ramen too. Turn meter boost. Whack into the Ugo. Get a provoke on her. Sweet. Now we'll place the sleep. There it is. We got sleeps across the board. We can just throw this on auto. Zelota is an absolute giga chad for this challenge if you're trying to get through it. I think a lot of people are probably going to have him, though it's going to be questionable if you still have him, because a lot of people probably fed him as well. For quite some time, though, and I can even show you my champion vaults at some point, but for quite some time, I've essentially been just kind of sitting on like a copy of every champion in the game, including epics, because with City of Centranos, for example, even, I was like, hey, you know, we're probably going to need some of these epics at some point. If I get like a 6-star awakening for a random epic I have in the vault, hey, that's perfect. I can build them out. I can use them on these stages, right? So, and I will say it's actually nice to have a motivation again for something to improve in, because it's been hard to find that, honestly. I'm 1-keying Ultra Nightmare as well as Nightmare Chimera, and I'm placing within the top like 10 to 15 of my clan usually, which are filled with some people that spend a little bit of money and have some crazy compositions. So, you know, that's not bad. My clan leader and other members of my clan have been getting on my case a little bit about, you know, Hydra participation. I'm doing a little bit better there as well. I was working on some new teams this week, but Hydra's definitely suffered a little bit. I don't find Hydra particularly engaging. I don't really enjoy it. Like, I don't enjoy sitting there every week manualing 3 battles that are all going to take like an hour and a half of my day. I don't find that enthralling content, right? City of Centranos, I've been kind of pushing through decently well and just, you know, improving champions as needed and those sorts of things. Clan boss, obviously, I literally just do my auto daily battles. It's not even remotely close to a consideration anymore. So essentially what I'm getting at is it's nice to have content again where it's like, hey, I need to actually improve my teams in this, because even inside like obviously, I'm sure this is the case for everybody, but normal faction wars, like, it's been such a joke for a long time, right? Like, I had the teams built out, and I can now run through, like, any faction crypt in, like, a minute at most, which I know there's people out there that are going to be like, oh, actually, my faction wars, I farm it in 15 seconds. It's like, okay, cool, that's great for you. That's a good time for me, right? So I've never had to improve my teams, which now that I actually have to, and I may have to build out other champions, I may have to actually start to think a little bit more tactically about like where my resources are going. It just gives me a lot more motivation to actually get back into and play the game, which is fantastic because it's been lacking, ladies and gentlemen. It's been lacking, and I think the sentiment is kind of the same around the community. Like, a lot of people are finding it hard to find the motivation to keep playing right now. Which, in fairness, a lot of those players that are struggling with the motivation, myself included, are either free-to-play or low-spend players. I've spent probably, like, at this point, maybe 1K on the game over my time playing it. So I'm not, you know, a high spender by any particular stretch of the imagination, but, you know, you still need the lower spender players like that. You still need the free-to-play players inside the game, because at the end of the day, you need those players to engage with others inside, for example, PvP, right? Like, if the Krakens are sitting there wailing out on the game and then just facing only other people who have wailed out on the game, it's not going to be that much fun for them, because, you know, it's going to be a fair fight, and it's not just down to whoever spent the most money. And then you also need, obviously, those clans inside, like, you know, Hydra Clash and those sorts of things that are maybe lower tier, so that the other ones can rank above them and, you know, whatnot, right? You get what I mean. Manipulate turn meter 40 times. Let's go ahead and take a look here. So other effects, positive effects. Let's see who can do a fill turn meter. I think we have plenty of it. Yeah, so you have like Scartorsus, you have Doomscreech, one of the best rare turn meter fillers in the game. Let me move myself here real quick so you can get a look. Fabian, Gorgorab, lots of options for fill turn meter. And then if we look at the negative side, so if you're reducing their turn meter, lots of options as well, right? So definitely, I think maybe we'll bring in Nethro here to do it. There we go, move myself back. I wouldn't mind bringing in like just more DPS either, because I think we'll get through this pretty easily. It's going to be annoying to face a Tormund though. But yeah, I think we should be good to go ahead and do this. Hopefully everything's working okay with my camera. I seen like the light flashing off, and then I looked over and the camera was off for a second. Not sure what's going on, but it is what it is, I suppose. We should be able to do this, honestly, pretty much on auto, I think. Get the lockout there, get the increased turn meter. Yeah, we're already at like 8 times, 12 times. Oh, 17 times. My game is freezing. Not sure what's going on. Let me pull up... Oh, Epic Games is running some sort of an update. That's why. Let's go ahead and let that run. It's at like 54%, so it should be okay. That makes sense why there's some issues. Epic Games just absolutely shreds like your hard drive when you're trying to update stuff on it. It's crazy. It's crazy. And we do lose the Nethro there, unfortunately. Even on wave 1. Hey, I think we'll go ahead and end the battle. I think he might be missing some artifacts. Potentially. Euros would be a decent option. He's pretty decently tanky right now. Okay, this is kind of crazy. My camera and like everything on the recording froze as well, so I think we're definitely going to go ahead and pause that Epic Games update. That's crazy. It's taking so much of the resources from my computer. Let's pull up the task. Oops. Let's pull up the task manager here as well and just see what's going on. Yeah, everything looks okay now. Epic Games had to back off from how much of my resources it was using. Craziness, craziness, craziness. So, we need more DPS, maybe. Nethro is missing, like, everything, so it's not surprising he got clapped. We could bring in a Frozen Banshee. She's in Toxic. Scartorsus isn't really built. Seeker's obviously huge in here. Let's see. Husk could also be decent. I think Husk is decently built. Yeah, he's pretty good to go. So we'll do this. We have obviously plenty of like the turn meter fill for this, so we're not really too particularly worried about that. And yeah, we'll kind of just get through this again. So with the manipulate turn meter, it should be pretty obvious, but it counts like, you know, turn meter reductions as well as turn meter increases. So you're good to go on kind of either front, which is nice, certainly. We have the decrease coming in, and we should be pretty close to done it already. Yeah, we're already at 30 out of 40 manipulations, so we're coming up right on the end here, which is fantastic. We're getting through this no problem. Now, I think what I'm going to start doing is I will probably start uploading these videos the day after in the morning, essentially, because I want to. But I've had some issues arise with like schedule conflicts and stuff like that, so generally on certain days I go to like the gym after I'm done my main job. So I'll sit here and record for like an hour getting through the Faction Wars content and then try to head out to do that, but I can't really like just leave it uploading to YouTube because it has to be either scheduled or basically. So the way YouTube works, for anybody who might not be familiar, is when you upload it, it uploads the video and then it runs automated checks on it after, and you can't publish the video until those automated checks are done. Once you're monetized on YouTube, at least, like before monetization, you can publish it like as soon as it's uploaded. So essentially I have to upload it, then I have to wait for the checks to run, then I have to publish it. Otherwise I have to schedule it for a later date. So I think it's going to start just working better for me if I can schedule it. So I'll just schedule it for 9 a.m. Central on the day after each of these Faction Wars scripts are done, which will also help me with the whole daily upload thing that I'm trying to do. So far, at least, we've continued the daily upload since Monday of last week, which is pretty cool. And I already have 3 videos scheduled for this coming week. And then this video, I'm recording it on Saturday evening, so it's going to be going up on Sunday morning for my time zone, at least. So, you know, that's pretty cool. We obviously just have to wait for this to go through, essentially. We've gotten plenty of the turn meter manipulation here. The only thing that could go against us is if somebody gets like clapped last minute or something like that, but I think we'll be perfectly fine. I also think that Oella might be a champion that I look into building too, even though she's in Sylvan Watchers, but she seems pretty damn cool. Also excited to start getting more mythical champions. Like, I'm very excited to see who my next mythical will be from the Primal Shards. I have like 4 of them right now, so I'm not exactly hopeful that I'm going to get a mythical anytime soon, but I am excited to see who my next mythical is. I currently have 5 mythicals, so yeah, 5 mythicals. 5 mythicals currently, 3 of which are you know, obviously ones that everybody can get. So I have Mikage, permanent fusion, everybody's gonna be able to get her. I now have Carnage, who everybody can get from the City of Centranos. Make sure to go check out like my content there, talking about why it's like some of the best content in the game and why you should be farming it. So I have Carnage, Mikage, I have Embrace from Chimera. Then for the 2 that were just random luck, I have Aphodus, who seems to be a pretty good mythical, actually. I'm happy to have him, even though when I initially pulled him, it was after his buff, and I was very unhappy with the fact that I pulled him. But I'm happy with him now. And then I have Crixia, who, my god, I wish I had a soul for Crixia. That would be so nice, but unfortunately, I do not have a soul for Crixia. I have like a 2-star awakening for Mikage, which is nice, but, you know, it is what it is. Now, that being said, what I would actually like to see from Plarium is essentially just more events where they like give us souls for certain champions. So maybe we've seen it recently, right? Like open up like a voting period for what champion the community would like to see a soul for, right? Like as simple as this, right? Like just give us the option to vote. It's just a menu that you can go into, every single champion inside the game. So realistically, if the community comes together and decides that, hey, this month we want to have an event to give us the soul for fucking, I don't know, Flannan Bowsmith, the rare from Sylvan Watchers, right? And then these could essentially run alongside like the regular fusions and stuff. So essentially just have like a constantly going like kind of Titan event for a soul for a champion, where you can get all the way up to like a 4 or a 5-star soul for that champion would be pretty slick. And obviously, like, you could argue that, like, oh, you know, it's going to be accessible for free-to-play players and stuff like that. Yes, but it's going to be running alongside regular events, so we'd still have, like, the regular fusion schedule and stuff like that. So you'd still be incentivizing players to spend because it's going to take a lot more resources out of their account. But then, you know, for some of these other players who want to skip the fusion or something like that, they could potentially go for a soul for an impactful champion, right? But currently, the majority of soul events that we get, so like the actual event side, they just generally aren't that good, right? Like they're not very accessible. And then for the tournament side, it's generally like, hey, you need to spend fucking $50,000 to pull the most champions, or hey, you need to use all your chickens and stuff like that to spend like 10 grand worth of resources to to get everything, right? So there we go. On your champion training. So now we're up to the boss on the Undead Horde as well. So as soon as we get the Dwarves as well as the Undead Horde to come around again, we are good to go. Now let me go ahead and just kind of click through some of these builds here for you so you can get a general idea. I'm not going to go in and actually show you the gear or anything like that, but you can essentially just pause the video at any point if you want to see the stats that I have on any particular champion. And you can get an idea who you want to build on your account and what sort of stats you want them to have. So there we go. That is everybody. Now, thank you guys all so much for watching, of course, and as always, I'll see you next time.